You're all very welcome to Teagasc Moorepark 21. Thank God the bit of rain is blown over. You might be able to. So it'll take you about 3 hours to get through the full lot. So all I'd say to you is take your time, and there's lots to be seen. And so my job here today is just to introduce it. I have an introduction board and just an outline then of what you see. So I have a title here, a sustainable food system approach. And if you look at the new vision, food vision strategy document that was published by the Department of Agriculture earlier this year, they had set an ambition that Ireland would be leading in terms of the development of sustainable food systems. And when we talk about sustainable food systems, in that context, we talk about a system that's profitable at farm level, that's environmentally sustainable, and that we produce nutritious, high-quality food from the system. So with that then, I just wanted to talk about where the dairy industry is at the moment in terms of its strengths, challenges, opportunities and solutions. And if we look at just from the strength point of view, I suppose we have to look back. Quotas have passed us now, but it has had, the abolition of quotas has had a significant impact, and everyone knows that at this stage, about on the dairy industry in terms of increasing the overall competitiveness of the industry. And if we look at it, certain aspects of it, you look at it from an export point of view, dairy exports last year were somewhere around 5.2 billion euros. If you go back to 2009, they were as low as 2 billion euros. So it has significantly increased our exports of dairy products. It has increased farm profitability, and I'm not going to go into any one year in context, but it's clear any of the analysis that has been carried out has shown that farm profitability has improved over that period. And if you just take last year from the National Farm Survey, the average family farm income was somewhere around 75,000 euros. And it's also really important in terms of improving the economic prosperity in rural Ireland. I mean, there's lots of, again, analysis done in look at the impact of, say, €1 of export of dairy products. The impact that has of €1 has on the rural economy, and it's another spend of about 90 cents per every €1 exported. And other industries haven't that near impact in terms of its impact on rural Ireland. So I mean, our system, of course, means the pasture-based system. There where we see where we can exploit, there's where we can really gain a foothold in terms of milk production worldwide. And it's for a number of reasons other than the cost reasons. It also produces with our premium product in terms of our grass-fed product. I mean, we see now, if you take one example, if we take Kerrygold butter and how it has established a foothold right throughout the world. And that's for the reason that it's grass-fed, and its nutrition in terms of its composition, in terms of its fatty acid composition, but it's also because of its taste and texture that is produced off a grass system. Our systems are environmentally sustainable, but I mean, you're here today talking about sustainability and how we can further increase the environmental sustainability of our systems. But if we look at where we are today, and you can see it later on, the carbon footprint of milk production in Ireland is somewhere around 1 kilo of carbon equivalent per kilo of fat and protein corrected milk, which is one of the best in the world. But again, as I said, I'll develop it further in terms of we want to continue and improve the environmental sustainability of our system. And our systems are socially attractive and they're animal welfare friendly. And that's really important from an Irish perspective, where we export 90% of the milk we produce, that it's seen that when we sell that product, that it's seen that it's produced off a system that's socially attractive and it's animal welfare friendly. If we look at it in going forward where we are today, global demand for food is still increasing, and that's really been driven by population change. And if we look at your reflection today, your milk price today, milk price would not be as good today, given that we're exporting most of our products onto the world market, if there wasn't the demand for that food. And the indications are, I mean, that there will be continuing increased demand for dairy products. And I mean, there is some estimations that world population will be somewhere around 10.7 billion by the end of the century. Climate change is going to have an impact too on food security. I mean, that's important. We see in our television, we see the effects of climate change on different parts of the world. And we don't see a major effect in terms of our systems here in Ireland, but if we look at it on our televisions, what we see in Australia, the bushfires in Australia, or the bushfires in California. So that's going to have impact on food production, and it's going to have a negative impact on food production because food security is still important. And Irish agriculture can be part of the problem of the solution as well. You can be part of the solution in terms of producing low carbon footprint, high sustainable products, but also can be a part of the solution in terms of what we can do in our systems. Take, for example, what carbon we can sequester in our soils and our woodlands in terms of reducing the impact of climate change. So if we look at follow on from the challenges, then that's what you're here about today, is looking at the challenges in terms of climate change. And we have to accept now that there's legislative commitments there to climate change now. We saw the climate change action bill going through the Dáil this summer. It's in law now. And what we're waiting now is to see the climate budgets that will be published in the very near future for the different sectors in the environment. The climate, the greenhouse gases that are important then in terms of from an Irish agriculture point of view are methane. About 2/3 of our greenhouse gases come from methane. And you can see the debate in recent times that methane now is seen as a short-lived gas. It's not treated, it's not the same as carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide. And you see the issue of GWT SAR, and that will be important going forward in terms of how we measure greenhouse methane emissions. Nitrous oxide is a very high impact greenhouse gases, and if we look at one technology that we'll be promoting here today is protected urea, and moving from calcium ammonium nitrate to urea has a significant reduction in greenhouse gases. So that's why we are advocating technologies like those in terms of reducing their impact on the environment. Water quality and climate change are all one of the same issues, probably to a large degree, but we need to continue to improve the biological quality of our rivers and lakes, and to reduce the nutrient loading on our rivers and streams. And again, that's why you're here today, is to develop technologies, best practices, how we can reduce the impact of those in terms of going forward. The latest EPA report that was published this year showed some indications of some improvement in water quality, but we need to continue that improvement in water quality going forward. Biodiversity, we've seen a halt or a decline in biodiversity right throughout the world. We're starting from a very good point in terms of biodiversity. You want just to turn back here and look at the amount of biodiversity that we see out there. All the woodlands we see, all the hedgerows. I mean, all those are really important in terms of biodiversity going forward. There is an estimation about in dairy farms about 7% of the area is currently in woodlands or biodiverse regions. There is a strategy around to increase that to 10% into high quality biodiverse areas in our systems, and that will be important in meeting those challenges. And the last one is beef merit. I mean, I think it's really important. I think the dairy industry has a very important role in improving the beef quality of the calves coming from the dairy industry. It's really important that we have a very good beef industry, and dairy beef is going to be really important going forward. So the quality of the calves coming from the beef industry, from the dairy industry, is going to be important. A profitable, sustainable beef industry is important to the dairy industry as the dairy industry itself. So we need stronger collaboration between the dairy and the beef industries going forward. So the beef merit of those calves, whether you're going to the dairy beef indexes, there are technologies there at the moment, sex semen, and there are new technologies on the way. So I know as dairy farmers you're coming here to look for solutions. There is some quick, easy fix solutions in terms of increasing the sustainability of our systems. You're wanting to look at the Teagasc MAC curve, and lots of technologies that we need to see rapidly adopted on farms. And some of them are already being rapidly adopted on dairy farms. No, like using protected urea, using low emission slurry, using white clover, better soil fertility, better grazing management. All those are going to be key in terms of increasing the overall sustainability of our system. So the adoption of those technologies are really important. Long term, we'll have other solutions coming through, and there's lots of research on those. The one there that we're putting a lot of emphasis on at the moment as part of the signpost program is carbon sequestration. And we have gone out there measuring carbon sequestration on a range of farms right throughout the country. How can we sequester more carbon in our pasture-based system? How can we develop pasture-based systems or managements that will sequester more carbon? That will be really important in terms of reducing the impact of climate change. So lastly then, I just want to go through what you'll see in the day. It'll take about 3 hours to go through. Take your time, there's no rush. Your 4 main stands starting off: delivering on sustainability, profitable production systems, grazing management to increase nitrogen use efficiency, and sustainable breeding. What are the options? And then we have a range of villages after that. The first one is Grass 10. The second one is a grazing demonstration. I think it's really important if you look at that. It's grazing demonstration around white clover, how you get more white clover, the advantages of white clover, how you manage it. It's a really good demonstration. With the signpost program then, that was launched earlier this year. It's a joint industry initiative. It's just not Teagasc initiative, led by Teagasc, but it's really again about improving the sustainability of our systems. One Health approach is really important in terms of reducing the disease incidence in our herds, improving milk quality, really important in terms of going forward. Breeding and reproduction, again I mentioned those in terms of what we can do in terms of breeding and reproduction. The EBI is still a critical, continuing improvement in the EBI, the herd is going to be critical. The use of sex semen, the use of the dairy beef index. Creating a great dairy farm workforce. It's really important that we attract young people into the industry, that we have a very labour efficient system, and that's going forward. So there's a big emphasis on that. And the final village in is modern farm infrastructure. That deals with your milking system, how efficient it is, how you can improve the efficiency. Your grazing farm infrastructure, really important: roadways, paddocks layout. Then in terms of heavy size, the importance of soil drainage, and other things in terms of energy use efficiency, a really important, again, issue for us going forward. So lastly, I just want to acknowledge the support of our sponsors, FPT Trust, our NOAA, AIB. The Dairy Research Fund is really important to us in terms of it supports what we can do. It's a levy on each litre of milk. It's really important. And lastly, we want to think about COVID. COVID is still with us. This is the first event we have since COVID pandemic. We have this event because it's an outdoor event. It's still very important that we acknowledge it's still with us. There's hand sanitizer stations right around and that we use them. Use whatever best practice in terms of COVID. There's toilets at either side here, and there's coffee dock there. So I'd say to yourself, enjoy the trip.